Marcus Chen's hands trembled as he gripped his phone, the lawyer's words echoing in his ears like a shattering glass. "Sir, she named you as the father." The skyscraper office around him seemed to tilt, the Manhattan skyline blurring through floor-to-ceiling windows. His ex-wife, Elena, was gone. Dead. And somehow, impossibly, she'd left behind a child, a 3-month-old baby girl he never knew existed. The divorce had been finalized just 6 months ago, their 5-year marriage crumbling under the weight of his obsession with building an empire and her desperate longing for something money couldn't buy: his presence, his time, his heart. The last time he'd seen Elena, she'd stood in the doorway of their penthouse, suitcase in hand, tears streaming down her face. "I hope one day you'll understand what you've lost," she'd whispered. He'd watched her leave, too proud to chase her, too consumed by quarterly reports and merger deals to realize she was walking away with more than just her belongings. She was taking the last piece of his humanity with her. Now, standing in the sterile hallway of Mercy General Hospital, Marcus felt like an imposter. The lawyer, a middle-aged woman with kind eyes named Patricia Hayes, guided him toward the NICU. "The baby was premature," Patricia explained gently. "Elena was in a car accident 3 days ago. She held on long enough to give birth, but..." Her voice caught. "She made sure to name you. Even after everything, Mr. Chen, she wanted you to know." The world Marcus had built, worth $3 billion according to Forbes, suddenly felt worthless. Through the glass window of the NICU, he saw her, a tiny creature, no bigger than a loaf of bread, hooked up to machines that beeped and hummed with mechanical precision. Her name was written on a card above the incubator: "Baby girl Chen, father, Marcus Chen." "I don't understand," Marcus choked out. "We've been divorced for 6 months. We weren't." The math didn't add up in his mind, the timeline impossible to reconcile. Patricia handed him an envelope, Elena's handwriting scrawled across the front. Inside, a letter written in the precise, elegant script he'd once loved watching her use for grocery lists and birthday cards. "Marcus, by the time you read this, I'll be gone. The baby isn't yours biologically. She's my sister Maria's daughter. Maria died giving birth, and her boyfriend abandoned her the moment he found out she was pregnant. I promised Maria I'd raise this child as my own. I never told you because I knew you'd see it as another obligation, another burden on your precious time. But now I'm dying too, and this little girl has no one. I'm begging you, not as your ex-wife, but as one human being to another, please don't let her grow up alone. She deserves someone who will choose her first. Be the man I once believed you were." Marcus read the letter 3 times, each word a hammer blow to his chest. Elena had been raising her sister's child alone, while battling stage 4 cancer she'd never told him about. The timeline suddenly made horrifying sense. She'd left him not because she stopped loving him, but because she knew she was dying and couldn't bear to watch him prioritize work over the time they had left. "What happens now?" he asked, his voice barely a whisper. "She named you as guardian, but you're not obligated," Patricia said carefully. "The state can take custody. There are many wonderful families looking to adopt." Marcus pressed his palm against the cool glass, watching the tiny chest rise and fall beneath the tangle of wires. This child had lost her birth mother, her adoptive mother, and now faced a world without either parent. Elena's words haunted him: "Be the man I once believed you were." For 5 years, he'd told himself that building his empire mattered most. Every missed dinner, every cancelled vacation, every time he'd checked his phone instead of listening to Elena talk about her day had been justified by the importance of his work. But standing here, looking at this fragile life that depended on a stranger's kindness, Marcus finally understood what Elena had tried to tell him. Legacy wasn't measured in stock prices or square footage. It was measured in moments, in choices, in whether you showed up when someone needed you most. "I'll take her," he said, the words surprising even himself. Patricia's eyebrows rose. "Mr. Chen, raising a child is an enormous responsibility, especially a premature infant with medical needs. You'll need round-the-clock care, specialists, therapists. Your lifestyle will change," Marcus interrupted. "It has to." The next 3 months were the hardest of Marcus's life. He moved into a modest apartment near the hospital, attending to his daughter, whom he named Lily Elena Chen, during every spare moment. He hired the best neonatal nurses, but he was there too, learning to change diapers so small they looked like doll clothes, memorizing feeding schedules, sitting beside her incubator at 3 in the morning when the world was dark and quiet. His company didn't collapse. His assistant, Robert, who'd worked for him for 10 years, stepped up in ways Marcus had never imagined possible. "Go," Robert would say when Marcus tried to dial into board meetings from the hospital. "We've got this. She needs you more." Slowly, Lily grew stronger. The day they removed her breathing tube, Marcus cried for the first time since childhood. The day she first opened her eyes and looked directly at him, something in his chest cracked open, flooding him with a feeling he couldn't name. It was bigger than love, deeper than obligation. It was purpose. Alina's friends began appearing. Her book club members, her yoga instructor, the barista from her favorite coffee shop. They brought meals, baby clothes, stories about Alina's kindness. One woman, Sarah, showed him photos of Elena from her last months, smiling despite her illness, holding baby Lily with fierce tenderness. "She never told anyone she was sick," Sarah said softly. "She didn't want pity. She just kept loving that baby, kept fighting for every extra day. She told me once that if anything happened to her, you'd step up. She said you were a good man who'd lost his way, but that becoming a father would bring you home." 18 months after that phone call, Marcus sat in a park in Brooklyn, pushing Lily on a swing. She squealed with delight, her dark curls bouncing, her laugh the purest sound he'd ever heard. His phone buzzed with notifications, quarterly earnings reports from a company now run by a capable team he'd learned to trust. He glanced at it once, then put it away, focusing on the miracle of his daughter's joy. He'd sold the penthouse, downsized his lifestyle, restructured his company to prioritize employee well-being over endless growth. His net worth had dropped by $1 billion. He'd never been richer. "Higher, Daddy." Lily called, and Marcus pushed the swing, watching her soar into the sunshine. That night, as he tucked Lily into bed, she wrapped her small arms around his neck. "Love you, Daddy," she whispered, the words still new and precious on her tongue. Marcus held her close, breathing in the scent of baby shampoo and innocence. In the drawer of his nightstand lay Alina's letter, read so many times the paper had grown soft. On the hardest days, he'd read it again, remembering the woman who'd loved him enough to give him one final chance at redemption. Elena had been right. Lily wasn't his daughter by blood. But in every way, that mattered, in every choice he made to show up, to be present, to love without condition, she was wholly and completely his. And in saving her, he'd discovered the truth Elena had known all along. The greatest wealth isn't what you accumulate, but what you're willing to give away. The highest success isn't reaching the top, but lifting someone else up. And the truest measure of a life well lived is whether you chose love when it would have been easier to walk away. Marcus had built an empire. But Lily had built him into the father, the man, the human being he was always meant to become. That, he finally understood, was the real miracle.